Okay, welcome back everyone. Welcome to part 2 of modding tutorials for Kerbal Space Program. In this part I will be showing you how to install mods manually. In part 1, if you remember, I actually showed you how to use CCAN to install mods automatically. Well, in this part I'm going to show you how to do those, well, show you at least to do one mod, TACLS support for Kerbal Space Program manually. So basically here we have the root folder for KSP. You need to find exactly where your root folder is, depending on where you got your copy from. Whether it's from Squad or from Steam, you'll have it in some, basically you have it in some different locations on your system, depending on whether you have Steam or the Squad downloaded version. So if we take a look in here, all you will have will be the Squad folder inside the game data folder. Now, depending on the mod itself, you may or may not have to copy and paste the folders directly into here alongside Squad. Some of them have their own folders and some of them are just basically just a file by themselves. So before I go and find TACLS support, we need one other mod. The mod that makes everything else work, and that's Module Manager. So we need to go and find Module Manager, download that, install that into the correct place, and then we need to go and find TACLS support and install that into the correct place. I'm not showing exactly where to find both of those files right now. Okay, so here we are. This is the GitHub repository for Module Manager. And take a look around. Basically what I said before in part 1. Take a look at issues. Just take a look around, see if anything's actually, pops out, at least sort of stands out as if someone's having a major problem. And Sigma 88 has target keys based on their value. I think that's probably just a request. Looks like a, yeah. Reinitializing not working. Biolister. Blowfish. But these seem to be pretty old. Okay, so we go back and we see properties here for 2.8.1, but this is just right now. This is probably going to be cleaned up at some point, but right now this is a little bit confusing because this states 2.8.1, and if you remember, if you've actually seen part 1 of this tutorial, I recommend you go and watch part 1 because I touched on this before. There is a on CCAN there is a 2.8.1, and here you see version 2.8.1 mentioned again on GitHub. But when I click on releases, this is just an example of what's basically some of the problems you might encounter with versions of different mods and different files. This is 2.8.0, and this is supposed to be the latest release, so I don't understand. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back and we're going to go onto Module Manager's forum page itself at kerbalspaceprogram.com. Forum kerbalspaceprogram.com. I will put, as usual, I will put the links in the description of the video. They'll underneath the video, basically in the description section. So here we have 1.3.0 and Module Manager 2.8.1. Even though the GitHub repository has 2.8.0 as its last release. So we'll take a look down here. What is 2.8.1? It's always a good idea, as I keep saying, is just to take a look around some of the forums and the GitHub posts. Click on the issues section here. Just take a look around, just see if anything really sort of stands out as having any real problems. But I'm trying to find out exactly what the difference between 2.8.1. Okay, so here we go. So you have module manager 2.8.1.dll. That is a DLL by itself. And last version of KSP 1.2 is 2.7.6. There's a DLL. So in the zip file, so I'm going to download both the zip file and the module manager DLL file. Now the DLL file here will just be a DLL file by itself. It won't be in an archive. The zip file, I suspect, probably contains the archive. Contains within its archive module manager 2.8.1.dll or the dynamic link library. That is basically all module manager is. It's a DLL. So I'm going to download that. Then I'm going to download that. So, okay, so there we go. Now, as you see down here, the archive zip file, you'll need Winrar or Winzip to unzip these files. If you don't have it, you need to go and find it. Unfortunately, there's a trial period which will run out, so you probably have to pay for that. But there are free versions of Winzip and Winrar out there. Okay, so this is the module manager.dll file. Now the good thing about module manager is the fact that within its file itself, this module manager 2.8.1, it actually has it in the title of the file. So it's easy to see which version you actually have. And here we have the actual archive itself. And depending on how you have your browser download configured, you will need to go and find where these have actually been saved to and run them, unless you're actually using what I'm using, which is Chrome. And you can see the downloads are right here. Obviously you can't just click on this is the DLL file, but we'll have a look and see what's in the archive. Exactly what I suspected. One is the archive and the other one is just a raw file, but you get the same file in the archive as the raw. So basically that was a waste of time, but it's good to check. It doesn't take long, it's a few seconds just to download. It's a tiny little file. So I'm going to keep this open. I'm going to unpack this. I'm going to extract it. I'm going to do this one because it's got a readme with it, so we'll do that. So you extract, and you want it to extract to, well, basically you can extract it anywhere, as long as you know exactly, as long as you know where. Extract it. Let's make up. Okay. So now we need to browse. We need to navigate our way to that folder. Your folder may be different. I don't know. You need to download. You need to basically, wherever you download the files to, it's always best you unpack to your download folder and then copy and paste things across. That's exactly what I'm just done here. So now we need to go and navigate to the folder where I just unpacked the module manager.dll file into. Okay, here we are. As you saw, I put it into my G drive and to the temp folder which I created when I unpacked. So here is the actual DLL file, and here's a readme. So we'll just take a look at the readme. Module manager originally formed Lilleboth, which still sounds Welsh, I say, but never mind. And maintained by Sabian. It's actually developed and maintained by Sabian as well. Lilleboth was the original creator of module manager, who then handed it over to Sabian. There's a lot of that going on. Always isn't it? Not just in KSP modding, in all modding. Okay, so basically this is just, yeah, this is just legal stuff. Don't need to bother about that. So what we're going to do, now if you actually watched my part 1 for CCAN, it's exactly the same way as we copied and paste CCAN across into KSP, but this file does not go into the root folder. It goes into your game data folder in the root of KSP. So we'll left click on it, right click, go down to copy, left click on copy. Now we need to go and find again the root folder for KSP. So we need to go and find the installation folder for Kerbal Space Program. Okay, and here we are. This is the root folder of KSP, exactly what I showed you at the beginning of this video. So now we need to go into the game data folder. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can either left click on the folder, right click on it and paste, because basically this file needs to go into the root of the game data folder, basically not the root folder here, but where squad appears here. You don't want to be clicking in squad. Click anywhere in here. So left click anywhere over here, right click, go down to paste, left click paste. The other way is to click on game data, right click on it and then click paste. You can do it either way. So I'm going to do that. So basically this has to go in here. It has to go in here. So basically it has to be able to, this link library has to see all these folders for every mod that you install in here. And that's to merge them all together so KSP can then use them. Okay, so that's basically it. That's Module Manager installed. Now, before you do anything else, exactly as I said in part 1, you need to remove these two files. Each time KSP runs, it will recreate these files. So you can do it every time you run KSP. Every time you finish playing the game, you can come in here and left click that, and delete both the physics and the part database. And obviously whenever you install a part, whether it's a single part or a full mod of parts, full stack of parts, or anything that modifies the physics, you're better off deleting part, database and physics regardless. Simply because the parts will obviously not be recognised or be incorrectly recognised by KSP unless you reset its database. So it's left control key. You want to click on part and physics database. Now you can tap the delete key on your keyboard like so and just click on yes, or you can right click on one of the files that have been designated, go down to delete and left click on delete, and that's it. So now when you run this KSP, it will run through the DLL. So Module Manager will actually load in all of the mods that you will install. Okay, so that's that done. Now the next part is to go and find a mod to install manually. And I'm going to go and find TACLS support. Okay, so here we are. This is the once again on GitHub. And this time it's for KSP RO. Obviously the Realism Overhaul group have taken over TACLS support maintenance. That does not mean you need Realism Overhaul to actually use it. It has two sets of configs. If you have Realism Overhaul, it will activate the config for RO. If you don't have it, then it'll just activate the configs for stock. You don't have to do anything at all. Don't have to worry about that. So this is for 1.3. As I always say, take a look at the issues first, and incident out again. I will include the link. This took us a few minutes to actually find because TACLS has been abandoned by the original author and it was taken up by someone else. Then they had to go off, and someone else is maintaining it. So it's KSP RO group, which is now basically maintaining and modifying the TACLS support mod itself now. So, as per usual, click on the issues. I always recommend everybody do that. Just take a look, see if anything really sort of stands out. Multiplying cables. Sounds like civil population. It's another mod, which is, I don't know if it's actually available. We'll actually, that's a point. I might actually go and find civil population and see if I can actually find that as an example of a mod which has had a lot of issues, which you could probably get working with a little bit of working around. But this is basically TACLS support. I'm going to stick to this subject just for the time being. So, change add resource, MFT, but that's a request. Immediate generalized death. We'll take a look at that because I have no idea. Okay, so August the 13th, I updated to the most recent version of TACLS, and when I reloaded KSPM, but this is a perfect example of what I said before in part 1, and I'll keep saying this again and again and again. Unless something is not working, seriously not working with the mod, do not update it or install a newer version while you are still running the game, unless you don't mind restarting the game. That is one of the biggest problems that people always face. There's that and conflicting module manager versions. Say one mod thinks it needs such and such version of module manager, and another mod thinks it needs another version, and you've got both versions there. You only ever have one module manager in your game data folder. If you've got more than one, delete the older ones. Just have one. So yeah, this is a perfect example of what I was saying before. It basically, again, when it's in process, when you're actually in progress, as you're playing the game, it will break your save games. It won't do it every time, but there is a high likelihood that it will break save games, especially something like TACLS. So I had 2 vessels in orbit, Kerbals aboard, both died. Yeah, back up your saves. Check the difficulty settings. Check the difficulty settings. See, when you reinstall when you update the mod, when you install a newer version, your settings may be reset as well. So, yeah, it's not something I would do. It's basically any experienced case people will say exactly the same thing. Freeze your install. Unless you're having a problem with the mod, don't try to update it. So we won't worry about that. So, yeah. Yeah. So we're going releases. Okay. So this is version 0.13, so it's 13.5.0. So one electric charge. This is a good point. Warning: electric charge production only supported for solar panels. So when you're in warp, only solar panels and generators will be included. This includes Copernicus compatible solar panels. Now Copernicus is a planetary system modifying mod. It allows other mods, such as Outer Planets mod, to add and change planets. Basically, Outer Planets mod adds planets beyond the orbit of Jewel. So it adds Sarnus, for instance, which is obviously a facsimile, like a clone of our Saturn. And Jewel is obviously Jupiter. But we won't worry about that. So I've got TACLS support version 0.13.5 zip. So I'll go ahead and download this. But before, click on the form. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put both links to here. So I'm going to put link to module manager. I'm going to put the link to TACLS, to the forums, and I'm going to put the link for the GitHub repository for TACLS as well in the description section directly under the video. So we have 1.3 TACLS support. What I like to do, click on the last page. Usually about the last page you get a good idea if someone's having some serious issues which haven't been reported on GitHub. So I've got TAC ambient light, aviation lights, decouple, heat shield, default action groups, docking port, fuel. I have no idea what he's talking about here. First time post long plan player. So as engineer, KW rocketry, remote tech, and transfer window planner. So he's got pretty light install. So he's got ambient light, aviation lights, B9, decouple heat shield, default action groups, docking port, fuel wings, CAS, cable aircraft, no, CAS isn't that, it's cable attachment system, alarm clock, engineer. I hope it means engineer redux because engineer there is the old version, but cable inventory system, which is a system mod for cable attachment system. Any issues with the waste container text cans not showing up? Now, my experience is that's usually a problem with the tech tree not identifying the parts and unlocking them correctly. That could be what's happening there. Obviously, unless I actually encounter the problem myself, I don't know how to fix it. Come back 1.3 test build. Obviously an old post. Go down to the bottom. Take a little look. Not really an issue, I guess. Just wanted to report it. Yesterday I built a throwaway sighting station into orbit at Kerbal for about a year, with a scientist and a pilot on board. Sent it with a little over a year's worth of food for the two. What? No water and oxygen. No, never mind. Mark 1-2 pod and 3 1.25 1.25 metre supply containers. When it got down to about 40 days after, the crew went home and left the station as scrap, no probe car. Saved and went to bed. I sent a second crew up to squeeze a little more science out of it, and the 3 supply containers in the station had been filled by themselves. Yeah. So he didn't have a greenhouse on board to resupply the food. Anyway, of course, if you have a hydrogen fuel cell, it will produce water from liquid hydrogen and oxygen, which is basically how the space shuttle, space station and all that sort of stuff that we have in orbit right now, the ISS, produces fresh water. Also recycles its own water as well, but that only gives you back a certain percentage. But no, doesn't seem to be anything that actually stands out to me anywhere. So, keep forgetting you can't actually go back. Okay, so we'll go ahead and download it. So we'll download it from the GitHub repository, TACLS, and as per usual, whether you have your browser configured to download files to, that is where you'll find these files. If you have Chrome, it's a bit easier. So this is the zip file, so it will appear down here. I'll be able to just unpack it from here. That's much easier. So if you're using Chrome, that's easier. If you're using Firefox, just click on the download section up here, where my mouse is, and it'll show you where it is. You can just directly click on that. It's not a DLL file. It's not a like Secant or Module Manager. You can just click on it. You can open it and unpack it to whatever folder you want to. So go ahead and download this. Okay, so once it's downloaded, if you have Chrome, you have to click on the file down here. And then we have TACLS support 0.13.5.0. So you can actually just left click and double left click. Take a look at it. So there we have the game data folder. So community resource pack. Now the reason why I chose TACLS is because it has other dependencies, namely community resource pack and community category kit. Now it's always a good idea to make sure you download these separately from the actual source itself. And again, Module Manager 2.8. Now this is the current version of Module Manager that they've bundled together with TACLS. But sometimes you may get a mismatch. You may get, let's say if this was a slightly older mod, say a few weeks ago, it may still contain Module Manager 2.8.0 as opposed to 0.1. So if you unpack this directly into your folder, into your game folder, game data folder, sorry, in KSP, you will have two module managers, and that's a bad idea. Like I said earlier, only ever have one. So if you see a 2.8.0 and a 0.1 together alongside each other, delete the 0.0, obviously. Delete the older versions. Only have one version of Module Manager. Make sure it's the newest version. So exactly why I picked on TACLS is because of this. Community Resource Pack, you can download yourself separately. I would advise you to do that. And Community Category Kit as well. It requires it. I don't really understand why it needs Community Category Kit, because it's a bit like Toolbar or any other category kit where you basically put certain parts in the category in the VAB section, the vehicle assembly building, while you're putting an aircraft together or a spacecraft in the hangar or in the VAB. So you could just get rid of that, to be honest, but we'll keep it together. So what we want to do, we want to unpack this into its own folder. It already has its own folder right there, so I'll just click on extract, just tap the G key, then unpack it. Now where I just unpacked it to was the G drive. So I'm going to navigate now back to the G drive and back to where I downloaded, where I just unpacked, TACLS. Okay, so here we are. It's on the G drive, TACLS, and here we are. Exactly what we saw in the archive, but now it's unpacked. So double click in the game data folder. Now we know we need Aerospace Corporation. We do also need Repo Soft Tech. We don't need these two folders, and we don't need Module Manager 2.8.1. We already have that. So I'm going to left click anywhere, clear that all of that away. So I'm not actually designating any of those files or folders. So hold down left control key, left click Thunder Aerospace Corporation's actual folder, and a Repo Soft Tech folder, and that's it. That's all we want out of here. We're going to go and find Community Resource Pack, and Community Category Kit by ourselves. We're going to get the latest version of that. So it's left click, onto copy. Now it's going to navigate back to the KSP root folder. Can't remember where it is. There we go. Okay, so now we need to put those folders into game data. Again, the same way. You can do it one of two ways. You can click on the game data folder, right click on it and click paste. So we paste those folders into the game data folder. Or you can double click on the folder anywhere over here, left click, right click, then paste. There we go. So we have Module Manager, we have Thunder Aerospace TACLS folder, we have the Repo Soft Tech. Now the Repo Soft Tech background resource, so that is basically how TACLS works in the background. So basically your electricity will run out if you've got enough ample supply or generator or solar panels. Even when the vessel's actually unloaded, it will actually still use resources rather than just running out completely and killing your crew immediately. And we'll just take a little look in here. So we have TACLS, we have the containers, which are parts, we have the hex cans, modular fuel tanks, which is a completely separate mod which I won't be touching on. You may want to use that. Modular fuel tanks lets you empty resources out and put different resources in rather than just fuel. And satellite support recyclers. That's the recyclers. And that's in order. So that is basically, you could run this right now, and obviously it would still spit it out because it needs the other folders, it needs the other files. It needs community category kit and community resource pack, which we're going to go and find right now. Both of those straight away. So let's come right now. Okay, and here we are. This is once again GitHub, and this is for Community Resource Pack by Bob Palmer, or Roverdude. And again, exactly as before, I'm going to click on Issues, and typing error is still there, which is nothing to do with functionality. So, ethanol concentrations, empty asteroid scanner setup.cg brakes proto part tools. They're still open, but there's nothing in there that really sort of stands out that is like an emergency issue. Also from actually enjoying playing KSP. So we're going to go back and click on releases. Before we download anything, I'm going to take a look on the forum as well. So I've got CRP 0.7.2, so it's 720. So let's go and take a look on the forum before we download this. So community resource pack for 1.3. And Roverdude, who designates himself as a cat herder. Okay. So community resource pack is a clearinghouse for common resource configuration as well as resource distribution configs for the stock resource system. It gives modders a toolkit of commonly used resources to play with and helps us all work together in the same resource playground. So basically it's like it's a library for resources so that other mods can then come in and use those resources, and it creates like a commonality, like a common library. So it's for mostly for compatibility reasons. So one mod can't just create something and then another mod will come along and create the same, similar or same sort of resource, and the two of them may clash. On two versions of oxygen, for instance, that just wouldn't work. So it's all for compatibility between mods. So it makes it much easier. It's a bit more friendly sort of playground for people to actually come in and actually create mods themselves. So let's take a look at the last page, exactly as I did before. Let's take a look. It's like a good practice basically, just to take a look around. No, that would be pointless and endless job. No idea what they're talking about there. We're on to the last post. So Wednesday will be updated when the next release goes out, which should be fairly soon. So talk about 1.3.2 right now. But like I say, if you actually install mods manually, you can always access the GitHub releases for mods like this. So it makes no difference which version you are playing at the moment, or which version you may be playing in the future. You can always find the older versions. So if you want to freeze your install, you can always do that. And if you lose a particular installation of a mod for a mistake, you've deleted the wrong folder, there's all sorts of different ways you could actually sort of mistakenly delete a folder. And you can come back here, go onto the GitHub release, onto releases section, download an older version that will match the version of KSP you're currently playing through. Which is always a good thing about GitHub, because it has a huge list of older releases. especially with mods like this. So nothing really sort of stands out. So I think that's pretty safe to download and install. So when I click on there, I'm going to download it. Okay, so that's downloaded. Now again, depending on which browser you're using, depends which or where your folder actually is, where it will actually be downloaded to. If you're using Chrome, once again, just click on the zip folder, and here again we have game data. So take a quick look in there, we see it's just by itself. So this will just basically unpack directly over the top of game data. I would still myself prefer to unpack this and then copy and paste the folder, CRP folder right here, myself into KSP's game data folder. That's always the best practice. If you're doing something manually, do it like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Going to unpack it. To unpack it back into my temp folder, which I believe is where I put Module Manager. So that will be there waiting for us in that temp folder. Now I'm going to go and find Community Category Kit, which is the other mod that TACLS had bundled with it. Obviously it was the latest version, so was the Module Manager, but I'm just showing you exactly how and where to find certain things, and basically it's best practice that you go and download the dependencies yourself manually if you can, if it's at all possible. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it's unnecessary. With TACLS right now it's unnecessary because it is the latest version that it's using, but like I said, best practice. So this is the form page for Community Category Kit. So we'll take a look. Right down, see what's actually new. Problem slightly confused with all the acronyms. What is CCKMM? Well, that's just someone doesn't understand. Community Category Kit and Module Manager. Doesn't just the mod listing categorize, and kudos to the person doing up that list too and taking over even on earth. Yeah, Module Manager and the CKK, MM and the CKK category, Community Category Kit, but it's wonder I haven't put a CKK instead of CCK. It's wonder I haven't done that because it's Kerbal, isn't it? Everything has a K at the beginning of it, I suppose. So CCK is a framework. Yeah, we know exactly what it is. It categorizes parts for use in VAB. So there's nothing really standing out to me there that would stop it from actually working. Back to the first page. So once the GitHub repository, which there is a link on the forum page itself as well down here. That points to releases. I've sent you basically I've done the link underneath this video for the actual root page itself. So Community Category Kit GitHub page. So we'll click on Issues. Containers category lacks an lacks uninverted icon. Nope, don't get that. Parts in custom categories are not searchable and tags are ignored. Yeah, don't think so. That was January the 12th anyway. This is also an issue that sometimes seems to affect filter extensions for parties captured by CCK for inclusion in the CCK category in filter by function. Filter extension can no longer see the parts tags. So basically it sounds like it's slight incompatibility with filter extensions. A slight incompatibility. Nothing that would really break your game, won't stop parts from appearing. So I'm going to click on releases. 1.3, and the latest version 2.0.1.0 or 2.0.1.0. So I'm going to download CCK into exactly the same folder where I just downloaded Community Resource Pack. Okay, so there we go. And once again, you open the archive, and there's a game data folder. So double click in there, and there's Community Category Kit. Contains CCK, DLL, and all these other files. So I'm going to unpack this once again. You can download this, unpack it any way you want to, and unpack it back into temp. So now we need to navigate to that folder. We just unpack these two archives too. Okay, so here we are. Now you notice when I downloaded Module Manager manually, it's I copied and pasted. I copied it from here, so we're back in that same folder. So now we have the game data folder, and basically this is both folders: Community Category Kit and Community Resource Pack. Game data. Now I'm going to show you something you can actually do yourself, as long as you check the root and directory structure is okay. So you check, make sure there's just those in there, just what you need in there. There's nothing else. You can actually right click and copy, left click copy. We can copy the entire game data folder here, and all it will do, it will put these two into the Kerbal Space Programs game data folder. Okay, so I need to go and find KSP's installation folder and paste the game data folder in a particular way. Don't try putting game data folder into the game data folder of KSP. It will just basically create two game data folders, one within the other. You don't be doing that. That's a bad idea. So I want to show you exactly how to do this. So we need to find KSP's installation folder. Okay, so here we are. This is KSP's root folder once again. There's a game data folder. Now you do not want to be doing exactly what we did before, which is left click, right click and paste, because that will create inside here another game data folder. We want those two folders, Community Category Kit, Community Resource Pack. We want those here the same way as these. So we do that by left clicking anywhere over here, right click, and then paste. And it will actually tell you, it will ask you, do you wish, there's another, basically there's two folders of the same name, game data, game data. I'm going to say yes. It should not, if you're alerted by overwriting anything while you're doing something like that, say no and think again as to what you're supposed to be doing, because you're obviously trying to copy existing files into the same folder again. Sometimes you may need to have to do that, but most of the times when you're just installing mods for the first time, you shouldn't need to. The only time you need to do something like that, it would be if you're overwriting a mod folder, if you're updating manually. But I would always advise not to do that either. You want to actually, let's say I wanted to manually update Thunder Aerospace, I would delete both Thunder Aerospace and the repo Softtech, both of those folders. Delete those folders. Same as if you want to copy another version module, might just say 2.2 comes out or whatever later on. Delete that file and copy the new one in. You don't want two of these files. So you don't want two versions of Thunder Aerospace. You don't want to. See, sometimes a mod developer will actually change files inside here. Sometimes they'll rename a folder, and sometimes they'll actually rename a file. So the best thing to do whenever you update manually is to delete the entire folder of the mod. and copy the new folder right in. Don't try overwriting. It's a bad idea. In fact, that's the third most common thing that I've come across browsing the forums of people having problems. So, there we go. Okay, so that is basically it for manually installing mods. Obviously that's just an example. Obviously I can't show you every single mod that I would install myself. It's impossible, it would take days. So that's basically it. Okay, I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, click like, comment. Any questions, leave them in the comment section underneath the video. And subscribe for more of this tutorial and of the other videos that I'm making. And if you have any problems, any questions, anything like that, just either leave a comment in the comment section or message me. I don't mind messages, as I said before. Just try and be concise and try and sort of include a link to the mod that you're trying to install that you maybe want me to try and help you with. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you for part 3.